Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, I'm Graphic and today I'm going to continue to talk about ships. Right now it's battleships. Okay, like in the previous video I already promised to make a video of battleships, okay? So I already also leaked some of the information on the self-aircraft carriers. So I'm going to talk about this right here, right now, about battleships, and I want to focus on two particular battleships, which is KMS Bismarck and USS North Carolina, hull number BB 55. Okay, so first of all, what is a battleship? A battleship is a large armored warship with a main battery consisting of large caliber guns. During the late 19th and 20th century, the battleship was the most powerful type of warship, and a fleet centered around the battleship was part of the command of the sea doctrine for several decades. By the time of World War II, however, the battleship was made obsolete as other ships, primarily the smaller and faster destroyers, the secretive submarines, and the more versatile aircraft carriers came to be far more useful in naval warfare. Battleships is strong, they hit very hard, they could take down a mountain with their cannon, and but the huge thing about there is their hitbox is really huge. In the game where shooters they use hitbox, a battleship is so big that they become very exposed, so they need something to cover them up, because if they don't, they will sink. And even though the cannons hit very hard, they also take a lot of time to shoot it. Well, a few battleships were repurposed as fire support ships and as platforms for guided missiles. Few countries maintained battleships after World War II. Few, not all, that is the end era for battleships. They're done. Even though some of them are very interesting, like KMS Bismarck, that could take down the pride ship of the Royal Navy, which is HMS Hood, with one single shot from its main gun, and she sank immediately. With the last battleship being decommissioned at the end of the Cold War. So, after World War II, it didn't last long. After the Cold War, all of them are decommissioned. The term battleship came into formal use in the late 1880s to describe a type of ironclad warship, now referred to by some as pre-dreadnought battleships. In 1906, the commissioning of HMS Dreadnought into the United Kingdom's Royal Navy heralded a revolution in battleship design. Subsequent battleship designs influenced by HMS Dreadnought were referred to as dreadnoughts, though the term eventually became obsolete as they became the only type of battleship in common use. Battleships were a symbol of a naval dominance and a national might, and for decades the battleship was a major factor in both diplomacy and military strategy. See, battleship is once what is was once is once is was one of the most important type of ships, at least in the Navy. And like I said, due to its firepower, they scared the battleships since they could take down they could destroy a mountain with just its main gun. They're scary. A global arms race in battleship construction began in Europe in the 1890s and it culminated in the decisive Battle of Tsushima in 1905, the outcome of which significantly influenced the design of HMS Dreadnought. The launch of Dreadnought in 1906 commenced a new naval arms race. 3 major fleet actions between steel battleships took place. The long-range gunnery duel at the Battle at the Yellow Sea. Battle of the Yellow Sea. In 1904, the decisive Battle of Tsushima in 1905, both during the Russo-Japanese War and the inconclusive Battle of Jutland in 1916 during the First World War. Jutland was the largest naval battle and the only full-scale clash of dreadnoughts of the war, and it was the last major battle in naval history fought primarily by battleship. That is the most intense fight, the last recorded, the last recorded intense battle of battleships. I mean, um, can they make battleships move faster? I mean, uh, they stay at their normal size, their normal firepower, but can they just increase the speed, just maintain the battleship and increase their speed and efficiency of their main gun so that a battleship didn't get to scraps? And seriously, I kind of disagree with battleships being uh, decommissioned, since I really like battleships. Most of the all of their stories are amazing. Of course, after U.S. Enterprise. Okay, moving on. The naval treaties of the 1920s and 1930s
It's
limited the
21
number of
hours.
battleships, though technical innovation and battleship design continued. Both the Allied and Axis powers built battleships during World War II, though the decreasing importance of the aircraft carrier meant that the battleship played a less important role than had been expected. You see, after aircraft carriers, battleships got moved aside. They became trashes, and I actually hate it. Even though I like the story of U.S. Enterprise have 20 or 25 Medal of Honor, still, it still makes me mad that she she's the one that make the aircraft carriers is the one that make battleships get moved out. The value of the battleship has been questioned even during their heyday. There are few of the decisive fleet battles that battleship proponents expected, and used to justify the vast resources spent on building battle fleets. Yes, building a battleship requires far more resources than other ships because look at how huge is this. It could around 300 meters or even more, and it could be easily taken out by the destroyer's torpedo. And believe me, you don't want to get hit. You don't want to a ship this big get hit by a torpedo. Trust me. Even in spite of their huge firepower and protection, battleships were increasingly vulnerable to much smaller and relatively inexpensive weapons. Initially torpedo, like I said, torpedo, torpedo, and the naval mine, and later aircraft and the guided missile. The growing range of naval engagements led to the aircraft carrier placing the battleship as the leading capital ship during World War II, with the last battleship to be launched being HMS Vanguard in 1944. Four battleships were retained by the U.S. Navy until the end of the Cold War for fire support purposes and were last used in combat during the Gulf War in 1991. So, they didn't even make it to the 2000s. Damn it. The last battleship was struck from the U.S. naval vessel register in the 2000s. Many World War II battleships remain in use today as museum ships. Museum. Seriously? But yeah. Oh well. Okay, so here it is. Going to tell the story of German battleship KMS Bismarck. I already told the general history of battleships. Right now I'm going to tell about one particular ship, Bismarck, and I'm going to move on to North Carolina. Okay, so Bismarck was the first two Bismarck-class battleships built for Nazi Germany's Kriegsmarine, named after Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. The ship was laid down at the Blom and Voss shipyard in Hamburg in July 1936 and launched in February 1939. Work was completed in August 1940 when she was commissioned into the German fleet. Bismarck and her sister ship Kriegsmarine Tirpitz were the largest battleships ever built by Germany, and two of the largest built by any European power. This ship shows of how strong the German naval is. She symbolized the power of the German naval fleet. And to be honest, all countries focused on defeating this ship than anything else, because she sank a battle cruiser with one shot from its main gun, and it's only a little bit smaller version of battleships, which is a battle cruiser. Sure, they aren't as bulky and as strong as battleships, but still, taking one down with one hit is nearly impossible. There's a lot of theories on a lot of conspiracy theories on how this KMS Bismarck shot down sank HMS Hood in only one shot. Some of them has said that KMS Bismarck's main battery get lucky and hit its explosive parts and destroyed the inside of the HMS Hood and sank it instantly. So it's, for me, it's quite convincing, but still, I don't know. I don't know the real truth. Okay, so the name is Bismarck, came from Otto von Bismarck. Builder is Blom and Voss, Hamburg. Laid down 1 July 1936. Launched 14 February 1939. Commissioned 24 August 1940. Fate: scuttled following capsizing capacitating battle damage 27 May 1941, the North Atlantic. So it's less than a year until it took down. It's quite sad, but still, it's a nightmare when she's still there. Okay, so in the course of the warship's 8-month career under its sole commanding officer, Captain Ernst Lindemann, Bismarck conducted only one offensive operation lasting 8 days in May 1941, codenamed Regenbogen. The ship, along with heavy cruiser Prince Eugene, was to break into the Atlantic Ocean and raid Allied shipping from North America to Great Britain. The two ships were detected several times off Scandinavia, and British naval units were deployed to block their route. At the Battle of the Denmark Strait, the battlecruiser HMS Hood initially engaged Prince Eugene, probably by mistake, while HMS Prince of Wales engaged Bismarck. In the ensuing battle, Hood was destroyed by the combined fire of Bismarck and Prince Eugene, which then damaged Prince of Wales and forced her to retreat. Bismarck suffered sufficient damage from 3 hits to force an end to the raiding mission. The destruction of Hood spurred a relentless pursuit by Lorner involving dozens of warships. See, of who didn't mad that uh let's say that you have your favorite thing, a toy per se, and imagine you have a little brother and you have a favorite toy, and he broke your favorite toy, and what will you do? If me, I'll become really upset, and I'll chase him from my house. If he run into Antarctica, I will chase him there, no matter how long it takes. Oh, sorry. Actually, Bismarck is quite a funny after she sank HMS Hood, and she and KMS Eugene ran away, and Bismarck died because Bismarck sank, died. Ah, damn it, sank because uh, damage in the oil tank. Okay, so 2 days later, heading for occupied France to effect repairs, Bismarck was attacked by 16 Fairey Swordfish biplane torpedo bombers from the aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal. One scored a hit that rendered the battleship steering gear inoperable. In her final battle the following morning, the already crippled Bismarck was engaged by 2 British battleships and 2 heavy cruisers, and sustained incapacitating damage and heavy loss of life. The ship was scuttled to prevent her being aborted by the British, and to allow the ship to be run as to limit further casualties. Most experts agree that the battle damage would have caused her to sink eventually. Yes, she sank because of the damage they dealt. Uh, this is actually an unfair fight, but yeah, who cares? Uh, you see, the British is one. The England is one of the most ethical countries. They have a great table manner. They have great ethics. I like them, and they talk nice. Uh, but since the British Navy got fueled by rage after HMS Hood sunk, well, they don't took it very nice to KMS Bismarck and just hit her with everything they've got. So, good luck surviving that. Okay, so uh, now I'm going to tell the story of USS North Carolina. Okay, so USS North Carolina, whole number B Bravo Bravo slash 55 is the lead ship of the North Carolina class of fast battleships. The first vessel of the type built for the U.S. Navy. Built under the Washington Treaty System, North Carolina's design was limited in displacement and armament, though the United States used a clause in the Second London Naval Treaty to increase the main battery from the original armor of 12 14-inch 356 to 9 16 in 406 guns. North Carolina was the most decorated U.S. battleship of World War II with 15 battle stars. It's nearly as impressive as USS Enterprise. 15! 15! Ah! Having participated in every major naval offensive in the Pacific from Guadalcanal to Tokyo Bay. Well, the ship was laid down in 1937 and completed in April 1941. While the United States was still neutral during World War II, during this period she operated off the eastern coast of the United States, following in the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December, which is one of the greatest tragedies in World War II in the United States, because they suffered major loss, and most of their ships, most of their fleets are sunk, destroyed. So no wonder the U.S. very mad at the Japs. North Carolina mobilized for war and was initially sent to Iceland to counter a possible sortie by the German battleship Tirpitz, Bismarck's sister. Though this did not materialize, and North Carolina was promptly transferred to the Pacific to strengthen Allied forces during the Guadalcanal campaign. There, she screened aircraft carriers engaged in the campaign and took part in the Battle of the Eastern Solomons on 24 to 25 August 1942, where she shot down several Japs aircraft. The next month, she was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine but was not seriously damaged. After repairs, she returned to the campaign and continued to screen carriers during the campaigns across the Central Pacific in 1943 and 1944, including the Gilbert and Marshall Islands and the Mariana and Palau Islands, where she saw action during the Battle of the Philippine Sea. The ship was undergoing a refit during the invasion of the Philippines, but took part in later stages of the Philippines campaign and was present when the fleet was damaged by Typhoon Cobra. She took part in offensive operations in support of the Battle of Iwo Jima and Okinawa in 1945, including numerous attacks on Japan. Following the Japs' surrender in August, she carried American personnel home during Operation Magic Carpet. North Carolina operated briefly off the east coast of the United States in 1946 before being decommissioned the next year and placed in reserve. Stricken from the Naval Vessel Register in 1960, the ship was saved from the breaker's yard by a campaign to preserve the vessel as a museum ship in her namesake state. In 1962, the North Carolina Museum was opened in Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay, so that is the detailed history of these two ships and the general history of battleships. Okay, I guess that's it for today. And you already see the next slide, didn't you? So, yes, I will make a video about me talking about uh, heavy cruisers. Yeah, heavy cruisers. So, uh, be sure to watch this video and watch that video later. And I hope this helps. So, thank you very much for your time. Uh, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.